To the point, informative, entertaining, and protecting the Second Amendment. Welcome back to Elfster's Rifles and Reloading. And to start something new here on Elfster's Rifles and Reloading, an interview series to give you guys an outside perspective of my own in regards to PSA AKV. Now, if you're new to my channel, check out that playlist area. I have a very in-depth video review series, up to 4 total parts so far, that not only goes over different types of ammunition, but using a suppressor and even taking it out to range, out to 100 yards. Also in the description box below, I'll have a link that has even more information on the Palmetto State Armory AKV. Now, my goal with this series is to interview a couple people just like yourself, just your average weekend warrior that just enjoys going out to the range and shooting an amazing firearm. But I also interviewed a couple people that actually have their own YouTube channel to boot. So I think this will give you a really solid idea of what to expect from the AKV. So enough of the BS talk, let's get this going. All right, Zach, thanks for joining me on my channel, and it's a pleasure having you on this video series.
Yeah, man, pleasure to be here.
And if you don't mind, I just got some quick bullet questions here for you to answer. My first one here is, are you in the PSA AKV group?
I am. I got in that group before I actually got the AKV. I get PSAs, emails, or whatever for all the stuff I don't need to buy that goes on sale. And I saw this gun and I joined that group because I couldn't seem to get a hold of the gun. I was never around when they came back in stock. So that's why I joined that group.
Yeah, it was hard to initially get, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I got this. I actually wanted the wood one with a triangle folding stock, and they were going so fast. I just took one. I missed one. My credit card info was messing up, and by the time I had got it resubmitted, I missed one. I think the plum one, and then I was like, "Oh man, I can't believe I just missed that." And then the next time I got the email, I stopped at work, told my boss like, "Hey, I got to do something," and I ran in the other room and bought it. So
I think everyone was in the same boat. At least I was. I know it seemed like if you weren't ready to rock and roll with your credit card at like 3 to 4 p.m. weekdays, you weren't getting one. And it's still kind of that way. I think it's a lot better now.
That's I've run the drill with PSA on another gun, the same deal. Like I missed it a couple times. So usually when they got a good deal, it's a good deal. But this thing just was new, and I'm a gun guy and I bought many guns, so I know how that goes.
Yeah. So, hey, the next question here, when did you get your AKV, which you kind of answered that already. But it sounds like you're a competition shooter. You actually use this for shooting purposes on the...
I do a little bit where I can.
Yeah.
So I shoot no USPSA, so you're actually not allowed to use a brace. That's just one of their rules. You have to have an actual rifle or an SBR. So I'll use it in the USPSA loose, kind of local stuff that allows it. Mm-hmm. But that is actually a plan of mine so I can shoot it in PCC, is to SBR it when I get moved into my new address. I just don't want to do it now because I'm moving in a couple months. Yeah. So that's in the works, but I will start shooting it a little bit in USPSA.
Now, some of the places you go, they're pretty, they kind of put a blind eye to the whole brace thing, or?
Well, my monthly match at my club, everything's to the T, which is the way USPSA would want it. There's some weeknight and smaller matches that are USPSA rules, but not necessarily sanctioned matches. So that's where I can shoot this thing. I've shot it in a couple of those, but I mainly, whenever you see my videos or whatever, me shooting it, it's me out in one of the action pistol bays that I'm a member of in the club.
Nice. So next question here, and what changes did you make, or is it bone stock? It looks pretty bone stock, I would say, right?
It is at the moment.
Yeah.
There's overall, I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself, but I was pretty happy with the gun stock. Like I told you, I kind of wanted the wood and the triangle folder. But after I purchased this, it hurt my feelings to turn around and go spend more than I could have bought the other one for later when it's available. I am really happy with the grip, this Magpul grip. It's got a lot of texturing for that. It's got a stop where your hand doesn't get so high. Functionality wise, the furniture all feels very good to me. The things that I will change or plan to change, obviously we talked about me SBR, and it, that's more of a being able to use it in the competitions I want to use it in. And then I saw just the other day on the thread, they were demoing a prototype for some sort of push button to drop the mag, where they extend the lever. I don't know if you saw it on the AKV page.
Yep.
To where you push that and drop the mag to do one-handed reloads. That is probably my plan. That and maybe if they do something with some sort of extended charging handle.
Yeah.
But otherwise, trigger's good. You know, I got several guns. The trigger's fine out of the box. Everything to me, the rail's ready for the optic. I just put a Vortex Crossfire 2 on it that I ripped off of one of my other guns.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have a red dot on it now. But otherwise, I mean, functionally, out of the box, it's good enough for 90% of the people, I would imagine.
Yeah, there's not much you really got to do to it. I actually, to be honest with you, I actually prefer the Magpul furniture. I've actually shot some of those hand guards that are, you know, all aluminum or steel, and they seem like, not so much on the 9mm, I know on the AKP side with the 7.62 by 39, over like 100, 200 rounds, man, you can barely hold on to that handguard. It is so hot. It is smoking hot.
Well, to be honest with you, any changes I made to the furniture here would be purely cosmetic for the cool factor. I always loved AK-74s, and I thought maybe I would do this and that theme, but that's not functional based. That's just because I'm a gun guy and I got, you know, we all have our fantasies about what looks cool and this and that. So
okay, so next question here is, if you could pick one thing, what do you like most about the AKV?
I think it just, the size of the entire package. I like the fact that this stock brace, this brace is adjustable, so that to me is a big plus on some of those blade braces. You know, you just set with whatever you get, so that's nice. The overall length of it, I think, is probably my favorite part about it. It's just super compact. I actually, when I bought this gun, I had full intention of buying a Scorpion Micro, and then I looked, this gun ran across, I stumbled on it through PSA or whatever the deal was, and I was kind of not looking real good at it. And then I noticed, I thought it was one of their AKs with the 7.62, and then I saw the magazine. I was like, what's that? Because I was looking for something that I could eventually suppress, you know, and play around. I have some property, and so the overall size was the main attraction to me, and it's unique. I've got AR fatigue. I have 3 ARs. I'm into weird stuff, and this was just different enough that it won me over the Micro, because I knew once I bought it, mags, mag pouches, slings, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the price difference just, and I don't regret it at all.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned that. The guy that interviewed right before you said the exact same thing about the AR fatigue. He just wanted something different.
Yeah, everybody and their mother's got an AR-15. Like I said, I got 3 of them. I acknowledge that an AR-15 is one of the most efficient, fastest, ease of use platforms. and it's really more conducive to speed and all that stuff. But I'm just the guy where after I've seen something 1,000 times, I just want the different. But if something's weird or ugly, that's what I kind of like that. So I have a Steyr AUG, so if that tells you anything, I'll pay some money for some cool points.
You know, I find it interesting myself too, is the fact that I have multiple ARs in 9mm, you know, and I can shoot those, and I can pick this up, and even though it's a AK variant platform, I really don't tell much of a difference. I mean, in terms of how, you know, smooth it is, and how can I explain this? It's just, I can pick up my AR that shoots 9mm, and it just runs, and it's smooth, it's accurate, and the same thing goes with the AKV. I would say it's a really close second, if not just as accurate. But it's just something I can depend on if I'm going to go out to the range, you know.
Well, I actually had PSA's AR9 for a while that I played around with, and this is cooler to me. It's and like you said, when you go out to the range and shoot it, you know, somebody asking whether an AR9 or a AKV, which has more recoil and this and that, like they feel like the same gun to me when I'm shooting it, and I've had a couple, but it just when you're pulling the trigger, the only time you notice the difference is when you're having to go through your manipulation with the mag and the paddle and all that good stuff.
And I think what this really benefits over at least the PSA AR9s is it actually has last round bolt hold.
Yeah, and that was a big really kind of point for me when I'm looking at it, digging through the fact that they added that, you know, the bolt hold open, which is not something you get, like you said, with some of the cheaper platform guns, which not saying this is, but the last round bolt hold open, the fact that they have, and I'm not a huge AK guy, but this extended safety, this little tab on the safety, a lot of functionality issues that help you get over the hump of it being an AK, you know, an AK platform. So that last round bolt hole open was a big plus for me.
Yeah, and it is for me too. I mean, I pretty much will not get a firearm unless it has it, at least for me personally. And I really, really wish PSA would come out with that, with at least their AR9s. You know, and I think they used to actually offer that, but for some reason their existing AR9s, they don't have last round bolt hold. And I just really think they're dropping the ball on that, but that's, hey, just my opinion. But that's what really, at least for me, that's what really pushed me towards getting this 100% that it had that last round bolt hold.
I agree.
Yeah. So, all right. So the next question, it's kind of the exact opposite of what I just asked, but what do you not like about the AKV if you had to pick one thing? And if you could see any future changes, what would those changes be?
I will tell you, and I get flack on the AKV page for this, but the edge of this magwell, and I have so many people on there tell me it is not sharp, and let me tell you what, as a guy that you'll see in some of my videos, I'm just doing drills, you know, I just do my USPSA drills or whatever. These things, when you take this mag and you're trying to get it seated in there, the way I perform a reload, I grab it about halfway, because if you grab it too low, it can be a little, you know, taxing to get it perfectly lined up. So I grab it halfway. Well, when I slam it halfway and I'm slamming it going fast, my hand runs up on those sharp corners. But the reason I grab it halfway is so that when I get the mag in, my thumb's where it needs to be to do the bolt.
Yeah, you almost have to be mechanical about it, right?
Right. And, you know, I don't want to be mechanical. I want to just slam the thing in like all the others. You know, I want to be able to, you know, throw the mag up in there and it go home with a lot of margin for error. But I might do something about these, but the only reason I haven't yet is because I see some potential for using those sharp edges to fit a magwell on this thing. So that's why I haven't done anything about those. But if somebody doesn't have any desire to put a magwell on this gun, I would round those things off in a heartbeat, because everybody acts like when you're, oh, well, you just put it in and keep your hands clear. When you're doing things for speed and you're trying to go as fast as you can, you get sloppy and you tear up your hands doing that. So that's something I would like to see them change. But.
Yeah. And I think that kind of falls into my next question here, and that is any accessories you'd like to get, or any accessories that you think PSA should come out for specifically for the AKV. I think you're kind of mentioning maybe like a flared magwell or something, or
I would love to see a magwell. There's a lot of them for different sorts of AR platform, MPX sort of stuff that kind of slide this way.
It's like an adapter, like a magwell adapter.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you could actually like bevel the inside and, make it to where you don't have to be as surgical about the magazine insertion. I would, so far this bolt release has been fine for me. Some people complained about maybe having a bigger one.
Yeah.
The option wouldn't hurt my feelings.
I actually believe, I agree with you 100% about getting that button just a little bit bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, just something more. And it doesn't take much force, but let me tell you what, if PSA released that, maybe the magwell, that other thing would be some way for me to manipulate and try to drop the mag with one while I'm reaching for my reload. That would help out to me. And I think those are the main three things. And if I was a shopper and I got online and got PSA and I was getting the magwell and they had the button, I would go ahead and get the button, and then they had that. You could probably just wrangle me in for three things right there. Well, might as well save on shipping and get them all three now. So if they had that available, I think that would be something I'd buy just on a whim.
Yeah. Is there any other accessories you would kind of look forward to, or something you might put on there eventually?
I think the biggest, most costly thing that you're going to see me put on it is a suppressor. That's part of the reason I bought it. So I'm gonna get one of those, but that'll be pay for it and wait 12 months.
Yeah.
And then I'll figure out. I've seen a couple of guys going through talking about how they're threading theirs on and all that sort of thing. But I do like that PSA's already put this brake on there for now.
Yeah.
So to me, I just thought that was one of those things where it's like, oh, well, it has a muzzle brake on it too. That's kind of cool and it looks good and all that stuff. Other than and maybe an extended charging handle if I see one. This charging handle functions fine. It does the job it's intended to do. But I have one or two rounds, and I'm using my own reloads, that were probably a little longer than this gun likes. And instead of being able to rack them out, I had to shoot them out. And that's happens when just for viewers, when the round's too long, it gets stuck in the rifling and doesn't seat all the way. And you basically got to shoot it out or, try to hammer this open. And like I said, this lever doesn't become a problem until you're trying to get a stuck round out. You don't have a lot of real estate and your hand runs into the edges on your safety selector. So something a little bit bigger so that you could, to get that round out might be something. Not necessary, but just a little something that I might add.
You might actually be interested in this interview series then, because the person before you actually has a charging handle adapter, and his is round. It's a really big round adapter. I think slides right over that. Matter of fact, really? I think what I'll do is I'll message him and see if he can get me the link for it, and I'll actually put it in the description box of his interview.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that when most people just take their guns out to the range and just shoot them at the range, and they don't do so much dynamic stuff. But if you use a gun a lot, you'll run into, and you reload and stuff, you're going to run into issues where you got malfunctions you need to clear and all sorts of stuff. And people don't see a need for it until you run the gun a lot and encounter some weird scenarios. And then where 3-gun guys, you'll see them just put it on their knee and slam it down to get the bolt back. I just didn't have a lot to grab there. And I was like, you know what? That might help. So
all right, so the next question here, and you somewhat touched base with it on the suppressor, but it's, what ammo are you using, and are you running it suppressed? So obviously you haven't run it suppressed yet, but what ammunition do you find works best in there, and what ammunition do you favor?
I reload because obviously I shoot USPSA, so in the height of my shooting, I think I was shooting like 1,200 rounds a month. So I reload the cheapest thing I can reload. I shoot production, so we shoot 135 grain Acme bullets.
Okay, so they're a heavier bullet then.
Yeah, so that's competition load. So it's a light powder charge, heavier bullet.
Yeah.
And with it has been pretty good. Like I said, I got a couple rounds that got stuck, but that's a length issue, not necessarily a charge issue or whatever. And I was a little apprehensive because, you know, some guns won't run reloads.
Yeah.
And this thing has been with, aside from one or two long rounds, I haven't had any sort of issues. I don't shoot a whole lot of factory ammo. I think I ran some Summit or whatever that stuff is through the gun, and it cycled fine. I haven't had any sort of cycling issues with it. But I want to be able to shoot my 9mm that I reload through every gun, so I don't have to tweak anything. And so far, I've been pretty pleased with this gun. And plus, once I get a suppressor, that 135 slow rolling should be super quiet.
Yeah. So do you know your reloading recipe off the top of your head? What type of powder and how much powder you're dropping and what type of primers?
I use tight group, and everybody can say what they want, but it's cheap and I can always find it during the scare. So I use tight group, and I want to say I run right around like 3.2 grains of tight group. I've been running through this Winchester primers only because I got a good deal on a bunch of them. I like CCI primers, but I haven't run any through this gun. Again, volume, I need cheap, and my Shadow 2 runs just about anything I throw through it. So Winchester primers, 135 from Acme, and then about 3.2 grains of tight group, and that's been a recipe for success in this gun, and it works with my Shadow 2. So I'll keep running it until it fails me.
So what would you say the bullet was again?
It's an Acme 135 grain.
Okay, I'm not familiar. Is that like just a copper plated, like a more inexpensive?
It's a polymer coated bullet.
Okay.
Yeah. So I used to shoot blue bullets, and then I got a 15,000 Acme bullets because they had some coupon code.
Yeah.
I'm not dedicated to one specific brand. I just go with the cheapest guy that has, you know, a decent reputation, and the Acmes have worked fine.
How much of those usually run? Do you know off the top of your head on those bullets?
I want to say the last time I bought them, and it's been a while because I always buy in bulk. I want to say I bought I want to say it's probably per 1,000. I want to say it's around $65 or something like that with a coupon code. So typically when I buy bullets, I'm buying them $650, $700 at a time.
Yeah.
So and I do the same with primer, and I do the same with powder. I think I bought 40 pounds of gunpowder the last time I bought it. So that is them and blue bullets. If you're going to reload, those are some of the best polymer coated bullets that are the most affordable. And so that's what I run.
Well, awesome. That sounds really good. Before we wrap this up here, is there anything else you might want to mention or highlights about the AKV before we head out here, bud?
Just in summary, I think that I buy a lot of guns and I shoot a lot of different stuff. And I've got, like I said, I got an AUG that was about $2,000. I got an M1A. This gun, and I've had plenty of cheap guns too. This gun, for the money, I think is one of the better guns I've bought in a long time. Something that I noticed, and you probably noticed, when I got this gun, I was impressed with how solid it was. You know, when you pick up a gun, you can usually feel how you feel a rattle or loose, or you twist and things are loose. And this gun just feels like, now it's heavy, but it just feels like one solid piece of
one big block
machinery.
of metal that you're picking up.
Yeah, and that is not something that I got when you buy a $500 PSA AR9, which I've had them and I'm not knocking it, but just I was surprised at how solid this gun felt. What it reminded me of was I've got a buddy with an MPX, and when I picked up his gun, you know, those are about $1,600 or $1,700.
Yeah.
When I picked up his gun, I was like, man, this is a really solid gun. This fits well. Everything's real tight, and the finish is good on it. And it was his first major gun purchase, so he didn't know the difference.
Yeah.
But I said, you play with enough guns long enough, you realize
just know.
Good
yeah.
fit. Yeah. And this thing, I just really impressed with how solid it was. And at the price point that it's at, I'm super happy with it, because the next thing, you know, like I said, I'd be looking at was the Scorpion Micro. And another big deal, because I had even eyeballed some MP5s and Strybogs and things like that. This was a big deal to me.
Yeah.
$14 magazines.
Yeah.
So
and functional too. Functional magazines.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So me being a competition guy, I drop everything on the ground. I'm not if I own it, it's going to get abused a little bit. I'm going to drop all the magazines. I'm not worried about that stuff. So, you know, looking at a Zenith, I was looking at $50-$60 a magazine. MPX is $50 a magazine. You go buy a whole pallet of these things, you tear one up, you don't have to worry about it. Your heart doesn't get broken. So I think this gun is as good as any if somebody's wanting a PCC brace gun that, you know, is solid and is, you know, when you're adding all the goodies, it's affordable. So
yeah.
I'm really impressed. And as far as I think this gun was $800 plus tax. That's a lot of value.
Yeah, it's a lot of bang for your buck for $800, and that's for sure. And it's interesting you mentioned that you're picking up a solid. You know, you pick it up and you just know it's a solid firearm. And you're actually, out of the 4 interviews I've done so far, you're not the first time to mention that in these interviews.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I think they knocked it out of the park with that. They did enough modification to it. I mean, I think it's a great gun, and obviously I've got one, and, you know, I bought some guns that, you know, I didn't love, but this thing I'm super happy with, and it's going to do everything I think I want to do with it. So, you know, and it's different. It's not another AR. So.
Yeah. Well, once again, thank you for coming on the channel. I really appreciate it, Zach. And I hope for my viewers, this gives you guys a realistic expectation of what to get out of the Palmetto State Armory AKV. Thanks once again, my friend.
Not a problem, man. Happy to be here.
I'll see you in the group. How's that sound?
All right, man. All
right, take it easy.